Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. Today I was checking the different news sites that I check. One of them is this one called The Watchers, where they keep track of natural disasters and things like that. And they had an article that said that there was a red aurora in Missouri. And so that obviously caught my attention. And I looked into it. And what really caught my attention was where this appeared and the time of day. So I'm going to share those details with you in just 1 minute. Really quick, I want to remind you that I've teamed up with Trevor Stevens, who's one of my subscribers. He does these wood carvings, and he's offering 10% off if you use the code CHRISTIAN.HOMESTEAD10. And you'll notice that he has these Christus designs. Let me pull this up to get a better look. So he has these Christus designs, which are really, really neat. And he also does temples, which I'm really interested in. In fact, I asked him if he was able to do the Kirtland Temple because of my recent visit there during the eclipse. And he can. He's able to do this. So maybe if you've toured the Kirtland Temple or you just like the Kirtland Temple, you can order one of his carvings. I'm going to get one myself. So use code CHRISTIAN.HOMESTEAD10 for 10% off. And I'll put the link for his website in the description box below. Okay, so so I came across this article, Red Aurora in Missouri, and I had to find out more. With this article, they go through a lot of like the science of it and the data and stuff like that. But I wanted to know, was there anybody else that was talking about it? And it turns out there was. KHMO AM 1070. So this appears to be a radio station out of Missouri, and they have an article titled "Video Shows Northern Lights Over Missouri, but that's impossible." And so then I was like, what? Okay, so let's just read through this. Something strange happened over Albany, Missouri, Thursday night into Friday morning. Okay, so where is Albany? Let's pull up Google Earth. So here you have the path of the eclipse in red. The one in 2017, which went over New Jerusalem, or the future site of the New Jerusalem, far west, and Adam-ondi-Ahman. And it turns out that Albany is just a little bit to the northwest of Adam-ondi-Ahman. I did a rough, measurement here, and it's about, it's almost 26 miles away, 25.7 miles away. And in kilometers, that's 41.43 kilometers from Adam-ondi-Ahman. So it's not very far at all. What I can't tell you is if the red aurora was visible from Adam-ondi-Ahman, but let's go back to this. Something strange happened over Albany, Missouri, Thursday night into Friday morning. Video captured by a backyard security camera shows the northern lights, but there were no northern lights overnight, so that's impossible. So I wanted to look into that because there's different websites you can go to that have aurora forecasts and track that stuff. I came to this one, University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute, and they have this thing where you can go back and forth to look at these aurora forecasts. And so for that day, April 19th, you can see that the forecast right here, I'm not sure what this outer green ring means. It's probably like the outer limits of what's possible as far as the forecast is concerned. But that outer green ring, it barely nicks the top part of Minnesota, maybe a corner of North Dakota. I'm not sure. So it didn't even come down into the lower 48, and you can go back and forth. I checked the days before and the days after, and nothing really changed. This changes when you go further forward in time, but yeah, there was no forecast at least. Let's get back to the article. If you don't already follow Missouri Skies on YouTube, Dan Bush is always sharing interesting things, and this is certainly no exception. According to this just shared video, it was captured during the early morning hours of April 19th, 2024, around 5 a.m. Watch what appears to be a red aurora appear just over the horizon. So I'll put the link for his YouTube video in the description box below, but here it is. And this right here is about when it peaks around the 37-second mark into like maybe the 44-second mark. So just like this strange, like reddish pink aurora or light on the horizon. Very interesting. Okay, back to the article. Here's the strange thing. According to NOAA's space weather forecast dashboard, there were no northern lights reported early Friday morning. Dan mentions in his description the possibility that this was a SAR arc. An SAR is a stable auroral red emission in the atmosphere. EOS says extreme thermal and kinetic energy in Earth's atmosphere cause this phenomenon. It's not unprecedented that the northern lights appear over Missouri. As a matter of fact, Missouri Skies captured, that's the name of his channel, Missouri Skies captured them back in December from this very same backyard camera. And so there's a second video right here. It's not as intense as this more recent one, okay? And I wanted to see, I looked at his channel and I went all the way back, okay? His channel goes back to 16 years ago. And I did a search doing Control F for Aurora, and it looks like he has 11 videos that's where he's like captured Aurora in Missouri. Well, presumably in Missouri. And you can see at the very far right, it'll show you where the results show up in the scroll bar. So the very first one that he has on his channel is from 12 years ago. But then you have to go all the way until just 1 year ago, and then he starts to see more auroras. Again, I can only assume that it's the same location. Looking at this thumbnail, it looks like it's the same place. I don't know. But, you know, I don't know anything about that. I don't know if it's because we're possibly in solar maximum right now. I have no idea why he hasn't captured more, because it seems like he's been pretty on top of these kind of things. It seems like he's a sky watching enthusiast, and he's captured all sorts of things. Excuse me, meteors and, you know, crazy cloud formations and stuff like that. But things like seem to like really start to pop off about a year ago. And then you have this incident where, according to KHMO and according to the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and, you know, according to NOAA's space weather forecast dashboard, there shouldn't have been any northern lights on that day. And I did a search to see if anything else popped up, like any other stories, or not that I can see. So I don't know. I don't know, but it's very strange. The article ends like this. What exactly appeared over Albany, Missouri early Friday morning? Certainly something painted the skies red. We'll see if NOAA acknowledges any phenomena as this video and other reports get analyzed. If you go back to the watchers and you scroll down, you do have other reports. This one's from Iowa. This one's from South Dakota. This one's Slovenia. And then Dublin, Ireland. So there were other locations that reported seeing this aurora. So the strange thing is that there wasn't supposed to be one. And I find it interesting that it was like this, this observation that we're talking about was so close to Adam-ondi-Ahman. And for all I know, maybe it was observable from Adam-ondi-Ahman. I actually reached out to Tamara. Let's go here. She is the one that me and my family stayed with. I don't know how long ago it was at this point. This was March 13th. So about a month ago, we spent some time with her, and she took us to Adam-ondi-Ahman because she just lives down the street, literally. This is her right here. I asked her if she had heard about it or seen it, and no, because it was like 5 a.m. in the morning, so she would have been asleep. But she did have some interesting thoughts about it. I'm going to pull up this. We were messaging on Facebook Messenger. All right. She says, also interesting, 5 a.m. is part of the fourth watch, the miracle hour. Think of the apostles laboring through the storm all night. Finally, in the fourth watch, Jesus came to them, walking on the water, and calmed the seas. In our most desperate hour, in the fourth watch, Jesus comes. And then later she says, when I'm seeking after very specific revelation, I wake up between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. and use the fourth watch to commune closely with the Lord. It's just a thought. I'm very, very aware of the fourth watch, so it's the first thing that popped into my mind. Most people would not think of that, and it may not in any way be connected. And yeah, that's true. Who knows? But that is a really interesting thought. You go to the student manual. Which one is this one? This is the New Testament Seminary Student Manual 2023 for Matthew 14:22-33. Has a picture of him walking on the water. And then it specifies the fourth watch was between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And as I was looking for some more, I came across this talk by Susan W. Tanner, who at the time, this was the April 2008 General Conference, was recently released Young Women General President, a talk called My Soul Delighteth in the Things of the Lord. And I liked how she worded it here. I delight in the Lord's mercies and miracles. I know that his tender mercies and his miracles, large and small, are real. They come in his way and on his timetable. Sometimes it is not until we have reached our extremity. Jesus' disciples on the Sea of Galilee had to toil in rowing against a contrary wind all through the night before Jesus finally came to their aid. He did not come until the fourth watch, meaning near dawn. Yet, he did come. And as we think about what Tamara said and what's being said here, it makes me think about the second coming. Essentially this last dispensation is the fourth watch. Yeah, you can think of it that way. But especially right now, this latter part of the latter days, like President Nelson has called it, and Sister Nelson. Yet he did come. And then she continues, my testimony is that miracles do come, though sometimes not until the fourth watch. And what's interesting is that I've done a video about this already, but for the church, for the church's social media accounts, at least for Facebook, they changed their banner or cover photo to this painting of Christ walking on the waters, which is this really good painting, by the way. I really like it. So that's just kind of interesting, Now, I mean, I don't know. Maybe later on, Noah will be like, "Oh yeah, there was Aurora that night," but I haven't seen anything. In either way, I don't know how comprehensive his observations is, Missouri skies. But again, he's been doing this for 16 years, and it seems like only recently has he started documenting or capturing these aurora near his house. But this one is really weird because, it wasn't supposed to be there, and yet it was. So take it for what you will, but I am going to take note of it. I have this spreadsheet called Signs Space General. So this is my newest entry. I also have it on my my spreadsheet called Timeline Second Coming. I checked to see if this happened on any special days, and not really. It did come, a couple days before the Manti, Utah temple was rededicated. And then on the Hebrew calendar, it was the day before Shabbat Hagadol, which is a special Sabbath. It's the Sabbath that comes before Passover. So it's a special Sabbath. And it comes the week before Passover or Pesach, but nothing in particular on that day. So I don't know, but I'm going to pay attention to it. It made me think a little bit about this recent email that I got from Beth Jukes. She had attended a special fireside. The subject line says notes from Carl R. Anderson. He's like a historian and an expert of the Kirtland period of church history. And he said something interesting here. He says, on the day of anointing, Peter and John were seen in the temple for 2 hours with legions of angels. Thousands upon thousands were seen. Heber C. Kimball's account stated that people thought the meeting was happening on the roof of the temple. The Painesville Telegraph reported that the roof of the temple was on fire. So obviously there was some kind of lighting effect that was taking place on that day, and people didn't know what they were seeing. They were seeing a strange light from the temple. And it just made me think about this, because even though this was observed in multiple locations, if this was some kind of like special event, maybe something else was going on. Maybe not exactly the same as angels appearing at the Kirtland Temple, but this could have been some kind of special thing. I have no idea. But the fact of the matter is that they're doing a story about it. And when it comes to signs, I think it more has to do with who's observing it and if a message can be relayed through that sign, not so much if you can explain it or anything like that. The Lord works through nature. He works through science. It's not about if it's explainable. It's more about the receivers of that message and whatever the Lord is trying to communicate. So it's kind of ominous, I think, when we think about Adam-ondi-Ahman and we understand its significance, both during the time of Adam, because this is where Adam and Eve went. This was basically their home after they were driven out of the Garden of Eden. They offered sacrifices here. There was the first great meeting of Adam-ondi-Ahman in the valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman, and this is the valley right here, this piece of land. The church allows some local farmers to grow crops there temporarily, but this is the valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman. So that was significant, and then we know that there's going to be a future gathering, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Just up here north, and maybe from Adam-ondi-Ahman itself, you have this ominous kind of sign in the sky, a red aurora. I think about Christ, how he's going to be dressed in red when he comes. And for it to happen in the fourth hour, or the fourth watch, that's really interesting. It's an interesting thought. And then I have a couple other sources, like when it comes to what happened at Kirtland. I guess I'll close on this. This is from Meridian Magazine, Latter-day Saints Shaping Their World. This is in a podcast by Scott and Maureen Proctor, because I wanted to look more into that report from the Painesville Telegraph, or whatever it was called, and see if I could find that article. Now, this is Maureen. She says, speaking of angels and fire upon the roof of the temple, as we've seen described in these journals, you and I, Scott, chased down a story that had been passed down for generations to see if it was true, and we could publish it. The story goes that a reporter from the anti-Mormon newspaper, the Painesville Telegraph, had come to report on the temple, and seeing the bright lights on the temple, assumed it was on fire and hurried back to write a story about the Kirtland Temple burning to the ground. We wanted to know if that was true or just a pleasing rumor. Nothing could diminish or add the magnificent manifestations that actually did happen at the temple, but we wanted to know the truth of this. The Kirtland Temple dedication happened on March 27th, and since the newspaper was published every Friday, it would have been in that Friday, April 1st issue. We wanted to check it out. We started at the church historian's library and went through the file of Painesville Telegraph newspapers. We found all the issues, but Friday, April 1st was mysteriously missing. Next, we turned to the Library of Congress. We made the inquiry about April 1st issue of the Painesville Telegraph, and they reported back that they had all the issues but this one. Why didn't we try the Western Reserve Archives that would have had the most thorough record of all? We called them. Why didn't we try the Western Reserve Archives that would have had the most thorough record of all? We called them, asked for the April 1st issue, and the librarian said, "Oh, I'm sure we have this." She called back a couple of hours later, dismayed. They too had every issue but April 1st, 1836. She said, "It's almost as if it has been pulled." So that's kind of interesting. And then there's a lot more said here, and also in this LDS Living article called "When the Kirtland and Nauvoo Temples Were Engulfed in Spiritual Fire." I plan to do my own videos about this and track down some of these primary sources, but in the meantime, I'll put the links for these in the description box below in case you want to learn more. So there you have it. something very strange, it seems, that happened near Adam-ondi-Ahman. Maybe it was visible from Adam-ondi-Ahman itself, but there you go. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.